In Genesis 4:1-8, we encounter the first children of Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel. Yet beneath the surface of this story lies a deeper spiritual reality. When Adam sinned, he opened the door to Satan's influence, creating a spiritual contract of rebellion that was passed down to all his descendants. Adam, as the gate of authority in the earth, gave Satan legal ground to operate, and every child born after him inherited that open door. Cain and Abel's story reveals how these spiritual contracts manifest in human lives. Abel, through faith and obedience, became a vessel of righteousness, a door closer positioned to carry Adam's mantle and resist rebellion. Cain, however, allowed his emotions to become an entry point for the enemy, becoming a vessel of evil and fulfilling Satan's desire to destroy Abel. This lesson will show us how spiritual powers seek expression through human vessels, how obedience can shut doors to rebellion, and how Christ, the son of Adam born of a virgin, came to pay the debt of that sinful contract, giving us authority to close the doors Adam opened. Genesis 4:1-8 is more than a story of sibling rivalry. It is a revelation of spiritual contracts, authority, and the consequences of Adam's fall. When Adam sinned, he opened the door to Satan's influence, granting the adversary legal access to the earth. This act was not merely disobedience, it was agreement. By yielding to the serpent's deception, Adam became a gate through which rebellion entered creation. From that moment, every child born into the world inherited this open door, a curse passed down through Adam's lineage. Humanity became bound to a spiritual contract of sin, rebellion, and death. Yet God, in His mercy, promised redemption. The son of Adam, Jesus Christ, born of a virgin, came to pay the debt owed to that contract. Through His sacrifice, He gave us authority to close the doors Adam had opened. But before we arrive at the cross, Genesis 4 shows us how these spiritual realities manifest in human lives. Cain and Abel embodied the struggle between obedience and rebellion, between closing doors to Satan and opening them wider. Adam was created as God's representative, given dominion over the earth, Genesis 1:26-28. He was entrusted with authority to guard Eden and to keep the presence of God central. But when Adam listened to the serpent, he surrendered that authority. In essence, Adam became a gate. By agreeing with Satan, he allowed the adversary to function legally in the earth. This agreement was not just personal, it was covenantal. Adam's choice bound all his descendants to the same spiritual contract. Every child born after him inherited an open door to rebellion. Paul later explains this in Romans 5:12. Through one man, sin entered the world, and death through sin, and thus death spread to all men. Adam's failure was not isolated, it became the inheritance of humanity. Because Adam opened the door, every generation carried the curse of rebellion. This is why Cain's story is so significant. Cain was not merely a jealous brother, he was a vessel through which Satan's desire was fulfilled. The spirit of rebellion that entered through Adam found expression in Cain's emotions, leading him to murder Abel. Genesis 4:7 records God's warning to Cain, "Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." Here we see the language of doors again. Cain had the choice to close the door to sin, but instead he allowed it to enter. The rebellion inherited from Adam manifested in Cain's actions, showing how spiritual contracts are carried out through human vessels. Abel, in contrast, represents obedience and covenant faithfulness. His offering was accepted because it was given in faith and alignment with God's desire. Abel was positioned to inherit Adam's mantle, to reign in authority after his father's passing. More than that, Abel carried the power to close doors. His faithfulness to God made him a threat to Satan's kingdom. Satan understood that Abel's obedience could disrupt the contract of rebellion. Abel's role as a door closer meant he could stand in the gap, resisting the adversary and pointing humanity back to God. For this reason, Satan sought his destruction. Just as later generations would see prophets silenced and righteous men persecuted, Abel became the first target of Satan's murderous intent. Cain's emotions became the entry point for Satan's plan. Jealousy, anger, and rejection opened the door wider, allowing the adversary to pass through him. Cain became a vessel, carrying out Satan's desire to murder Abel. This was not simply a crime of passion, it was spiritual warfare. By killing Abel, Cain fulfilled Satan's strategy to eliminate the one who held authority to close doors. Abel's death was meant to secure the continuation of rebellion, ensuring that humanity remained bound to the contract Adam had signed in Eden. Cain's act demonstrates how spiritual powers in heavenly places manifest their desires through human vessels. The tragedy of Cain and Abel reveals the depth of humanity's captivity. Adam's agreement with Satan created a spiritual contract that bound all his children. Cain's murder of Abel shows how that contract plays out: rebellion, jealousy, violence, and death. But God did not leave humanity without hope. The son of Adam, Jesus Christ, was born of a virgin, free from the curse passed down through Adam's seed. By his obedience, he broke the agreement Adam had made. On the cross, Jesus paid the debt owed to that sinful contract. His resurrection opened the way for humanity to close the doors Adam had opened. Through Christ, believers are given authority to resist the spirit of rebellion. We are empowered to shut the gates of sin and to walk in covenant with God. Where Cain failed, Christ succeeded. Where Adam surrendered authority, Jesus restored it. Genesis 4:1-8 teaches us profound lessons about spiritual contracts and human responsibility. Doors of authority. Adam's disobedience opened doors, but Christ gives us authority to close them. Manifestation of powers. Spiritual powers seek expression through human vessels. Cain became the instrument of Satan's desire because he yielded to emotion. Faithfulness as resistance. Abel's obedience positioned him as a door closer, showing that faith and covenant can resist rebellion. Warning of sin. God's words to Cain remind us that sin is always crouching at the door, but we have the choice to rule over it. Genesis 4 is not just the story of the first murder. It is the unveiling of spiritual realities that shape human history. Adam's agreement with Satan opened the door to rebellion, binding humanity to a sinful contract. Cain's actions show how those contracts manifest, while Abel's faithfulness reveals the possibility of closing doors through obedience. Ultimately, the hope of humanity rests in the Son of Adam, Jesus Christ. Born of a virgin, he came to pay the debt and break the contract of sin. Through him, we are given authority to resist rebellion, to close doors, and to walk in covenant with God. Cain's tragedy warns us of the danger of yielding to emotion and becoming a vessel for the enemy. Abel's faithfulness points us to the power of obedience, and Christ's victory assures us that the doors Adam opened can be shut forever.
Thank you.